Hello and good evening. This is just going to be a really quick video to discuss the purpose for Daniel's 70 weeks. There is so much contention around this prophecy. There is so much debate. There is so much differing of opinion about what it means and how to interpret it. And it is very simple in its meaning. It is all about kingdom. The purpose of Daniel's 70 weeks is to point Israel to their Messiah. There is a starting point and an ending point. And what is the ending point? It's Palm Sunday. It's the triumphal entry. It's the king coming to bring the kingdom. Israel had two ways of knowing that day. First of all, Zechariah 9, behold, thy king cometh unto thee, lowly and meek, riding the colt, the foal of a donkey. And Daniel's count to lead them from point A in Nehemiah 2 to that day. Two ways of identifying it. And as a whole, they did not accept Jesus. Immediately, Jesus took the offering of the kingdom off the table and delayed it to a second coming. That is the outstanding week of years is kingdom presentation number 2. There are 3 kingdom presentations in view. One earthly, Matthew 21. One heavenly, Revelation 4. A second earthly, Revelation 19. Israel is the focal point of Daniel's prophecy to lead them to their Messiah the first time, unto the Messiah the Prince. That is what that was. Kingdom presentation number 1. The king coming to bring the kingdom. They didn't accept it. Delay of the kingdom occurs at that point. Second coming is prophesied 3 chapters later in Matthew 24, which Jesus specifically tells them seals midpoint of the week, end of the week with the rise of the beast and false prophet and the glorious appearing. As lightning cometh from the east and shineth even unto the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Puts that event at the end of the outstanding week of years. It is the end result of that. The second earthly kingdom presentation comes at Jesus' second coming, and his second coming is at the end of the outstanding week of years. That is also a kingdom presentation. So in Daniel's prophecy, you have 2 kingdom presentations in view. There's a day count leading to the first, and there's a day count leading to the second. You're given a starting point in Nehemiah 2 for the first 69 weeks of years and an ending point in Matthew 21. At the point Daniel was given that, it was all prophetic. Now we know that part to be historic. The second set of points is a point C and a point D, a beginning point to the 70th week and an ending point to the 70th week. If we are told what the starting point is in the books of history, Nehemiah 2, do you not think that we would be told when the starting point is in the books of prophecy, in Ezekiel specifically? Yes. And I pulled up the Septuagint. Daniel 9:27 is the verse that we look at it's a focal point. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. We just fly through that without looking at the nuts and bolts of that verse. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Okay. There is, again, debate about what the covenant is. It's the covenant of record at Daniel's time, which was what? What we now know today, in hindsight, as the old covenant. There is not an old covenant until there is a new to replace it. And there is not a new covenant unless there was an old pre-existing. Hebrews 8:13 explains this in saying, new he hath made the first old. And now that which is old decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. So at Daniel's time, was there a new covenant? No. So there was also not an old covenant. There was just the covenant. And what does the old covenant that we know today, the covenant in Daniel's time, what does that require? A temple and or a tabernacle and a sacrificial system and about 613 commandments that they have to adhere to. So when we look at the covenant, what does it require? A temple, which takes you to the midpoint of the week. And you know this because it says, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Where is that going to be offered? At a temple, which has to be built, obviously, before that point, so it can be offered and then stopped being offered. In order to cease, it has to have resumed so that it can cease. Right now, it's not going on, so you know at some point it's going to start again so that at the midpoint of the week, it can cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. What is it that will be made desolate? The temple where the sacrificial system is being offered, is going on at. So there's going to have to be a temple rebuilt in order for a sacrificial system to resume, and in order for an abomination of desolation to occur to desolate it. When you go to the Septuagint, what does it tell you about the predication, the thing upon which the 70th week begins, the thing upon which the 70th week is predicated? People are like, King James only. No, the Septuagint makes it very clear because there is so much debate. We need clarity. It says in Daniel 9:27 in the Septuagint, the covenant will prevail for many, and it will return again and be rebuilt broad and long. Yes, it would have to be rebuilt broad and long so that the sacrifice and offering at it can cease, and it can be made desolate. It is the temple. The cornerstone of the 70th week covenant is the temple, which is Ezekiel 40. And it says, on the 10th day of the first month in a specific year, he's given a vision about what will happen on the 10th day of the first month, because that's the year in which sabbatical cycles begin and end. And obviously the Jubilee predicated upon the sabbatical cycles will begin and end on Nisan 10 as well. And he's in a Jubilee year prophesying about what will happen in a future Jubilee year. And Daniel is where you learn how many Jubilees to count. So Nisan 10 of a specific year is when Ezekiel's temple will be built. Why? As the strength behind the covenant to resume a sacrificial system, and in order to have that sacrificial system ceased 3.5 years later and to be desolated. The temple is what this is all about. Why? Because 7 years after that, Jesus, at the second coming, the second earthly kingdom presentation, is going to anoint it with his presence, which is the sixth and final purpose for the 70 weeks, the fourth of which is to bring in everlasting righteousness. How does he do that? By setting up an earthly kingdom that is free from the wickedness that he's going to defeat at Armageddon. The purpose of Daniel's 70 weeks is all about kingdom presentations, earthly kingdom presentations. The first one to Israel, unto the Messiah the Prince. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, unto the Messiah the Prince. Unto the Messiah the Prince is the first kingdom presentation. Was delayed to a second coming, which is what the end of the 70th week is the second earthly kingdom presentation. There was a starting point and a count given the first time. The first 69 had a starting point and a count that led to an end. The 70th week has a starting point and a count that leads to the end, and the end of both of those result in a kingdom presentation. The purpose of the 70 weeks is to tell you what the starting point is and to give you an account so that Israel knows when to expect her Messiah. The whole point of that. So people say, well, he was on earth for a certain amount of time and his ministry lasted this amount of time. Is irrelevant to the scope of Daniel's prophecy. It says, from this point to this point, there will be this amount of time. From this point to this point, there will be this amount of time. This point and this point are on Nisan 10. This point and this point are on Nisan 10. All you need to know is which year. And that is given with the context surrounding the rebuilding of Ezekiel's temple. So very simple. We don't need to drill down into things that aren't particularly relevant for this prophecy. What is relevant? Kingdom presentations, as they specifically regard Israel at the end of the first 69 weeks of years and at the end of the 70th week of years. That is what the purpose of this is to lead Israel to her Messiah. Do not get lost in the weeds on this. Let's keep it simple. If you have questions, comments, or feedback, let me know. That's the purpose of the 70 weeks. But all of them is to lead Israel to her Messiah and the kingdom presentations. See you guys later.